Let's do a small exercise of Selenium and get started with that. So I'm coming back to Eclipse window that I had here. Now what we want to do is we want to write some code, and that exercise, that small exercise that we want to do is we want to launch the Chrome browser. We'll go to toolsqa.com. After that we will close the browser, or I say quit the browser. This is a small exercise that we want to do, and I'm going to tell you that Selenium gives us a class which represents a browser object. Now we talked about the classes and objects. Let's say, assume browser is a class. So what we will do is browser B is equal to new browser. So this is how we create an object of a class. We have to use the new operator, and then we create object of the class. Class objects are initialized with new keyword. So this is mandatory. Now I think I missed this part earlier when I was explaining classes. So when I said here mobile phone, Sandeep's phone, we can't use it like this. We must initialize object before using it. So that is what I'm explaining now. So let's say browser is a class and we create the object of the class. So what this line will do is this will launch the browser. Now after the browser is launched, if we want to say to the browser, hey browser, take me to this URL, what kind of function should a browser give? Let's just apply our common sense and think. If there is a function, what should be the function name? Does it take an input parameter or not? Like we did for the call function here in mobile phone. We talked about call function, we derived like this should be the definition. So what kind of function browser should provide us to take us to a site? Anyone?
Browser.input.
Yeah, b.input, but input, name of input is not meaningfully conveying what we want to do. Yeah, can you give something more appropriate?
URL.
Yeah, URL, but URL is not a verb. Function is typically a verb. What do we want B to do?
Address.
Open URL.
Open URL is more meaningful, right? Open URL is telling that we are opening a URL. Open URL, ideally we could have given many names. Go to URL, go to website, open URL. So I'm sticking to one, open URL. We are just deriving, okay, this kind of function a browser should give. Now open URL, will it take any input parameter from us?
Yes.
What will be the data type of that parameter?
String.
String, right? So it will take a string from us. Here we are saying it will be toolsqa.com. Will this function return anything to us? It just opens the URL and we can see that page, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So for now, let's safely assume it does not return anything to us. We don't want to take something in back. It's just like we give something and we say print max of these two. It's print kind of function, like take this URL and do what you can do with this URL. So it opens it. Then we said third step is we want to quit the browser. What should be the function for asking this B object? Now we are done. You have opened the URL, good enough, just go off. So what should be the function next?
Close URL. Close. Open.
Do we close URL?
No, window. Sorry.
We close the window, right? We close the browser.
Yeah.
So when I click here on the top, so we are saying, now we are saying dot close. Will it take any parameter from us?
The button.
But close itself is saying that, okay, we might be clicking that button, but close itself is a clear instruction, right? We don't want to say, hey,
Yeah.
close when I say 2, close when I say 3. We are saying just close. We are done. Right? These 3 lines make sense. At least they are readable. They convey what we are trying to do.
Yeah. Yes.
So Selenium people who came up with the Selenium framework or library, they envisioned this kind of thing. What if we had a browser class available to us which gives us a function like open URL and gives us a function like close? Then won't it happen like writing test cases will become very easy if this class was written by someone which does this work. It knows how to launch the browser, this knows how to take the browser to a URL, and this knows how to close. And if I say to you like this class is already written and available to you, do you think writing code to launch the browser will be very easy? I mean writing these 3 lines of code in Java, in Eclipse. Did I teach you how to do that? Come on, this is my test. Nobody's saying yes. If I say this is an inbuilt class in Java, do you know how to write a program where you can type in this code and run it? This is no different than we wrote a program where we just use object of a string class. I'm saying don't use the object of string class here. In this main, just go and use the object of a browser class. Will it be easy?
Yes.
It will be, right? Okay. And good news is Selenium provides such a class to us. If we use that class, opening and closing the browser is as simple as writing these 3 lines of code. But unfortunately, they did not use the term browser. They did not use the function name as OpenURL. They used some other name, but we can kind of correlate to that. Now Selenium code, if I have to tell you, it will be, because there can be various browsers, there can be Chrome, there can be Firefox or Safari. So what they did, they created classes for every browser. So they said if you want to launch Firefox, then the class you will be using is Firefox driver. This is the class. So we create an object of this fd is equal to new Firefox driver round brackets. This is how we always create the object. Then to open a URL, they gave the function, rather than saying open URL, they gave get function. Kind of you are saying to this, now this fd is representing a browser. To this browser you are saying, hey browser, get me the page from this URL. So they gave the function name as get. So I say http google.com or toolsqa.com. This will get us that page. That means the browser which launches in the line number 1, it will get the page and it will show the page. And third line we can simply say fd dot close. 3 lines of code are good enough. And this is a valid Selenium code that I'm talking about. So let me copy this code, go back here, I'll add another class, I'll say file, new class, and here I will say launch browser, enter. So this added a new class here. I'll write main, control space, enter, and I'm just pasting that code over here. Now when I pasted this code here, we are seeing an error in line number 6. What is this error saying? Cannot be resolved to a type. In simple words, it is saying Eclipse doesn't know where the Firefox driver class is, because Java does not have this class inbuilt. If you remember, I said yesterday, classes are user defined data types. Who has defined Firefox driver class?
Selenium.
Selenium folks, right? So Selenium people have written that class, not Java. So we need to download something from the Selenium site so that we can use these classes in our code. So now we are using somebody else's classes. So if we want to use somebody else's classes, we need to have something downloaded. So let's head on to Selenium site. So I'll say download Selenium. First link, we click download Selenium. Here when we go, it will say if you are using language Java, you have to download this. So I'm simply downloading this because I'm interested in using their classes. And this is a small download, 16 MB. So once it gets downloaded, I'll just open it. It will have a bunch of things for us to use. So just remember these steps. This is just a setup kind of thing that is required to use Selenium classes. I don't know why it's stuck. Let's take its time. Yeah, so download for Selenium has completed. This is just a compressed file, zip file. I'll just extract it. So it is extracting to this folder. So it will do the extraction, and what we have to do is when we extract this, it will have a bunch of jar files in it. So there is, do you see, this is an executable jar, client combined, and inside lib there are some more jar files. So let it uncompress, and these are the files that we need in order to run our Selenium code. So once this uncompression completes, what I'll do is I'll combine all these jar files in a single folder. I'll put them in one folder. Let's say that is lib folder. So I'll cut this file. I'm moving it into lib folder so that I have all the files that I need in same folder. So I just pasted that from outside to here. Yeah, so after uncompressing, what I have done is I have consolidated, put all the files into one folder, which is lib, all the jar files in fact. And if you see, this lib folder has all the jar files now. So once these jar files have been put in lib, what I'll do is I'll copy this lib folder. I'm doing Control C, or we can right click and we can say copy, and I'll go to Eclipse. In my project folder, I'll click class 2 and I'll paste that here. I'm just right clicking and pasting that folder here, paste. Now that folder I have made part of my project. That is the first step. Second is, if I open this lib, it has a lot of jar files. I select all of them. I'm just clicking one and I'm just hitting the down arrow with shift key. So we have to select this. All selected, we can right click and we say build path, add to build path. So this is a way of telling Eclipse, hey Eclipse, we want to use the classes that are there in these jar files. And Eclipse will do the rest for us. Now once we have done it, we are able to use the classes in these jar files. So this is the only thing needed. If I have to summarize so that people who want to try it on their own, the first thing we did is download Selenium Java zip from Selenium site. Second thing we did is uncompress. Third thing we did is put all jars in one common folder. That is what we did in lib folder. After that we said copy lib folder and paste in our Eclipse project. And when we pasted, by right clicking, project name. So in my case the project name was class 2. So I right clicked and pasted it. Fifth step what we did was select all jar files and right click, say add to build path. And once we have done that, now we are in a position where we can use these files. Now if we take help of Eclipse, if I click here, Eclipse will say I'm ready to import Firefox driver. Eclipse has figured out there are classes. Now Eclipse is no more saying that I don't know what type is this. So Eclipse is able to figure out, oh, there is some jar file which contains this class. So if I click here and click here import, now you will see that error will go away. Now Eclipse has put a statement here, we are importing, we are using one class from the referenced jar files. And now you see the error has gone. And since the error has gone, we are in a position where we can run our code. Now what I'll do is, for now I'll comment this close line so that the browser can open, it can go to the ToolsQA site, it can stay for a while. So we have written the Selenium code. In order to do that, we had to download and add the reference of these jars. Now let me go ahead and run this code. Now if I run this code, we will see one error, and that error is related to the concept I discussed in the first class. And the concept I discussed was the way Selenium works. We have written our code which is using classes from Selenium. Selenium has some classes and we are using one class of Selenium. What is the class we are using from Selenium? Can somebody name that class?
Driver.
Firefox driver, right? Yep. So we are trying to use this Firefox driver class. This class knows how to launch the browser. So the browser will sit here and web application sits over here. Web application for now we are talking about is ToolsQA. But in order for our class to talk to the browser, it needs a server in between. You remember we talked about it needs a server because this code talks to the server talks to the browser. You remember that we discussed this server's question? Okay, so we will see. If I try to run, let's say I don't know what a server is and I simply go and run it, assuming the browser will launch. What we see is browser is not launching. It has shown some errors in the console and that error is saying illegal state exception, and here it is also giving us the way to get rid of this. It says path to driver executable must be set by WebDriver. A long thing it is saying, but it is also giving us a useful link here in this error in console, and this link is saying you have to download a server, a driver server. So I'll copy this link from this window. This is a Gecko driver server that we need. So I copy this, I go here, and you see this thing is automatically guided to us. We just ran it, whatever was wrong, it has pointed out that you need this server. So we go to Gecko driver, and let me see where is the download for this. Okay, download. We are not seeing it here. Maybe there is another link here. Go to this. Latest version can be downloaded from. Okay, there is a second link which is telling where do we download the latest version of this driver. So that is this. So we needed second link, not the first link. Sorry. So I go here, paste it here. Now once we come here, it says there is a download available. So what I'll do is I'll go with Windows version. Again, there are a lot of versions for Linux, for ARM. Yesterday somebody asked about the Surface Pro. I don't remember, it was Priya or Chanda. Right, so yeah, for that you will need, I think, ARM driver. So here I'm going with Windows 64 because that's what my OS is. So once you download this driver, this is a server that is required by Selenium code to run our automation. We'll again unzip this and just copy this into any folder which is added to the path. In my case, what I'll do is I'll go to C, Windows, System32. System32 is a folder where we can paste anything and it will start working directly. So we are pasting that in C, Windows, System32. So we pasted this here. I can double click once to see that it is launching properly. Yeah, so this is launching, we can close it. So we have downloaded the server, we have put it in C, Windows, System32. Now let's try to run our code once again. I hit play button. And now you will see some messages are being printed and browser has been launched. And the browser is taking us to site tools QA. So we are able to see, like, now the launching of the browser was not done manually. Okay, I mistyped the spelling. I just wrote tools Q. So if we give the correct URL, it would have taken. Now I fix it, Control S. I go and close the browser and launch it again. If you remember, I commented this close code so that it doesn't close and we can see the browser is launching and it is taking us to the site. Because if I uncomment the close thing, then after taking to the site, it will immediately close. So now it has taken to the site and our program will come out that I'm done.